And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Dungeon Raiders! It's about going into a dungeon and fighting your way through. Oh, there's plenty of those games. This is a card game, though. And if you have watched my reviews, listened to my podcast, you will know that this is not something that excites me to see a dungeon condensed into a small box like this. Well, as it turns out, the dungeon theme actually makes sense. And yet the game itself, the dungeon theme is almost trappings for just kind of a little auction game. Where you're playing cards from 1 to 5, trying to either win treasure or fight off a monster. So if you think of it in essence, you're bidding each turn, trying to get something good or trying to avoid something bad. And then on top of that, they put a dungeon theme. Let me show you and then we'll talk about it. So here's how the game starts. Each player takes one of the special people going through the dungeon. They're adventurer, warrior, wizard, thief, explorer, and knight. These guys really have no special abilities. They just start with a card. For example, the knight here starts with $1, starts with 1 wound, and takes a sword card. So I add a sword card to my hand. Also in my hand, I'm going to have a handful of cards that are numbered from 1 to 5. So I would add that to my hand. Then I would put the knight here and show that he has 1 wound. And then I would take one of the money cards that the game provides and show that he starts with $1. And those are the cards in front of me. So I have the 2 cards in front of me. And these are just tracks to show how much health and how much money you have. When your health goes below 10, you're dead. If your money goes below 10, you flip the card over and you start adding more money like this. And if you get more than $20, well then you're stuck because 20 is the most you can get. So what you're doing in this is you're going through several levels of the dungeon. And so what you'll do is, I've already pre-sorted these cards out, but there's a door to show each level, and I'm going to put 5 cards out in this level. Now, if you notice, some of the cards are face up and some are face down. This is deliberate. This is kind of even here. But you shuffle half the deck basically in face up and the other half face down, which is a neat thing. I've seen it before in games like Cleopatra and the Society of Architects. But here you can see some of the rooms, but you can't see all of them. So everybody gets ready, you take your cards, and you go into the first room. First room here is a monster. Okay, let's take a closer look at this monster. Now the monster's strength depends on how many players are playing the game. So let's say there's 4 players playing the game. The dragon here has a strength of 18. Everybody plays a card from their hand, from 1 to 5. They'll be playing these cards here. The total of everyone's cards being played has to be higher than 18. If you do so, you beat the dragon. Otherwise, the person who played the lowest card is going to take this many wounds. Alright, the next room here is a vault. Everybody plays a card from their hand, and you take whatever number you played. So for example, if you play a 4, you take a sword card. If you play a 3, you take a key card. If you play a 5, you get 1 life point. Now once you play a card each round, you can't use it again. And some cards can only be played in certain situations. For example, the sword is a 5 card, but it can only be played in combat. The key is a 5 card, and that can only be played in the treasure room. The crystal ball, when you play that, you see everyone else's cards before you play your own. And the torch allows you to look at all the face down cards each round. So then we go into the next room. It's another vault. Then there's another monster and another monster. As that's what's in this level of the vault. And we keep going through. Now sometimes you will come to a trap card. And then everyone plays a number and different things will happen depending on what number people have played. And other times you will find treasure. When you find treasure, whoever plays the highest card is going to take the treasure. Sometimes there's 2 treasure chests, then the treasure will go to the highest 2 people. So this continues on. If you make it through all 5 levels of the dungeon, if you don't, then everyone dies. And the last person who doesn't get killed is the winner. But if you make it through all the levels, whoever has the most wounds instantly loses. Period. Doesn't matter how much gold you have. After that person has been eliminated, Then you look at how much gold each person has, and the person with the most gold is the winner. So overall, this is a game that I actually liked. Now, here's the deal. With 2 players, the first person to die, the other person wins. Or if you both make it out alive, but you're not going to, okay? It's not going to happen. If you play 2 players, you're both going to die, really. So the first person to die loses. So the game doesn't work quite as well with 2 players. But with 3 or 4 or 5, it's very interesting as you play these cards down, trying to win, trying to kind of tiptoe around getting as much treasure as you can, but keeping your good cards so you can fight the bad guys, or keeping your good cards so you can get more equipment as the game progresses. It's light, but it works well as a filler, and this is a pretty decent output, I think, from Adventureland Games. Dungeon Raiders, what do you think?
I like it because the way how they have like trap rooms and vaults and monsters, that's actually really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's really simple, and it's something I guess that could be expanded, but as it is, I think you just take it as what it is. Don't go into saying, oh, it's a card game, that's a dungeon crawl. No, it's a filler to some degree that has a dungeon theme to it, and it works well.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.